Welcome to the lineup. I'm Megan McDonald. We are finally here, the moment we've all been waiting for. Conference play all starts this weekend in both men's and women's basketball, which means our games of the week start. The first one is on the women's side. That's Seattle U versus UMKC. Now, before we waste any more time, let's get right to our top stories. And it only seems fitting that we rewind to our last year's WAC champions, starting with the guys. That's New Mexico State taking on Grand Canyon. Former WAC champ versus first place in the current standings. Talk about a good way to open up conference play. Two players stick out in my mind. Both have earned WAC Player of the Week honors several times. New Mexico State's Pascal Siakam and Grand Canyon's Grandy Glaze. Siakam leads the nation in field goals made and double-doubles with a total of 13. The sophomore is also 6th in scoring, averaging almost 24 points per game and rebounds, bringing down almost 12 boards a game. Now, Glaze is also a force to be reckoned with. The senior is 11th in the league in scoring at 11 points per game and 4th in the WAC with 7 rebounds a game, helping GCU finish its non-conference schedule at 13-2. This will be a huge showdown. Heading on over to the women, same school, New Mexico State, also former WAC champ, but this time the Aggies are currently in first place in the conference rankings as they host Utah Valley. New Mexico State sits at 11-3, the best start to a season since 1994. Looking at stat categories for both teams, they have fairly similar numbers, but the Aggies do have an advantage on the defensive side as they lead Utah Valley in steals, blocks, and scoring defense. As you know, those aren't the only games going on this week, so let's take a look at some other key matchups heading into conference action. Starting on the men's side, CSU Bakersfield travels to UMKC, where the Roos have yet to drop a game to anyone at home this season, but the Runners are sitting at 10-5 right now on a 2-game winning streak, so this should be a good one. We also have UTRGV at Utah Valley. Shaquille Hines leads the Vaqueros in points, scoring average, field goals made, steals, and offensive boards. But UTRGV has not beat the Wolverines since January of 2013. So take a look at what UTRGV head coach Dan Hipsher had to say about the start of conference play.
Well, it's just a new beginning. It's a new opportunity to go out and compete in a conference that you've been recruited to play in and compete in. And as I said before, there's kind of 3 beginnings of the season. You have the start of the season, the conference season, and then the conference tournament. So they're all exciting times, and hopefully we're prepared to compete in the WAC.
Over on the women's side, Chicago State travels to Seattle U, where Redhawks head coach Joan Bonvicini will look for her 700th win this weekend. With 2 wins, Bonvicini will be the 17th D1 coach to do so. Another key matchup on the women's side, 2nd place in the standings, UTRGV hosting 3rd place in the standings, Grand Canyon. Now the Vaqueros are undefeated at home, so the Lopes might have their work cut out for them. But fun fact, as you know, the football national championship is in Phoenix next week, and the Alabama football team was kind enough to lend the Lopes their team bus, but do not expect GCU to give the same hospitality to the Vaqueros. As I mentioned earlier, the game of the week starts this week. It's on the women's side, Seattle U versus UMKC. But as you know, that's not the only game on the WAC Digital Network, so take a look at the full schedule. So 8 games total on the WAC Digital Network, 4 on the men's side, 4 on the women's side. For the guys, we have Seattle U at UMKC, UTRGV at Grand Canyon, CSU Bakersfield at UMKC, and Grand Canyon hosting New Mexico State. On the women's side, of course, the game of the week, UMKC, Seattle U, plus that Utah Valley, New Mexico State game. Later in the weekend, Grand Canyon at New Mexico State and UTRGV hosting Utah Valley. All of those games on the WAC Digital Network you can find at wacsports.com/live. For more information, check us out at wacsports.com or follow us on Twitter and Facebook.